Hi besties, it's Lexi. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Did you like it? I got a new mic and she's very sensitive. She needs to be touched very delicately, so I'm going to try. Oh my gosh. I'm going to try to be mindful of that throughout this video. However, if there are any audio issues throughout this video, I want to apologize beforehand, as I'm still getting used to it. So I will get better if there are any issues. Also, shout out to Franklin for getting me this mic specifically for my YouTube videos. I told him that if he got it for me, he would get a shout out. So you're welcome. Also, how do you guys like this setup? I am obviously very biased, so I personally love it. But if the twinkling lights and like the low light setting kind of hurts your head, I don't know. If you just don't like it, let me know and I will play around with the different setups and stuff. But I personally think I did a really good job. Anyways, I have been debating on how I want to go about this video. I actually filmed an hour-long video yesterday about it, and I edited it and I rewatched it today, and it made me feel a little uncomfortable, so I won't be posting it. I just feel like there are some details and stuff that I am not ready to share with the world yet. So I'm going to be giving you guys a very condensed version. That way you can still get your closure, your clarity as to why I went missing, why I stopped posting, and just where I'm at now, and just give you like a general update on how I am currently and why I feel like what I went through was pretty crucial in my growth as a human being. So I want to start the video off with some trigger warnings. I am going to be discussing eating disorders, anxiety, and attempted suicide. I also won't be censoring myself, so if that is something you feel like you can't handle right now, that is completely okay, and I hope to see you in my other videos where they won't be so triggering. So let me start from the beginning. I was living in a very toxic household with my boyfriend and his family. I won't be touching on anything that happened within the house simply because none of us were in the right headspace. I feel like everyone is deserving of forgiveness, especially if they have proven with their actions that they have changed for the better. So I won't be bringing those moments to YouTube. I don't want that to be their defining moment. So I won't be talking about anything that went on in the household. The reason why I am bringing it up now is because that is where my anxiety kind of started. I have always dealt with anxiety ever since I was young, but I had never dealt with it to this extent. I thought that I had really bad anxiety until moving into this household. Girl, it was on 10 all the time. I was living in fight or flight all the time, basically. Whenever I experience anxiety, I feel very sick and very nauseous. And since I was having anxiety almost 24/7, my eating habits started dwindling very rapidly. Just a quick little fact. If you haven't dealt with an eating disorder, then you wouldn't know this, but I'm going to tell you. Whenever you don't eat for a prolonged period of time, or if you eat very little for a prolonged period of time, and then you decide to eat a lot at once, your stomach gets fucked up. Like, you experience severe stomach cramps. You're just very uncomfortable. And I know with me, this is kind of TMI, but I would experience stomach cramps that would last all day long, all night long, and I would have explosive diarrhea. Yeah. And I think that's where my anxiety around food began, because whenever I did eat, I was in pain. For some reason, my mind was just like, oh, the food is doing this to you. And yes, the food was doing it to me, but it was only doing it to me because I was starting to develop unhealthy eating habits due to my anxiety. So it all just intertwines with itself. So that's where my eating disorder began, and that's how it developed. And I also want to say that eating disorders aren't so black and white the way a lot of people like to assume that they are. Like in my case, my eating disorder never developed simply because I wanted to lose weight. In fact, it was always has been the opposite. I have always tried to gain weight my whole life, basically. And then this happened, and I was actually kind of fucking pissed off whenever I noticed that I was developing one, because I already felt like I was too skinny to begin with. And I was like, just great, I'm gonna get even skinnier. That is, love that for me. No, I fucking hated it, actually. I don't know why I said that. I fucking hated it. I hated it. But the thing is, the second you develop an unhealthy relationship with food, you're done for. There is no going back. It's going to be a long time, if not forever, that you are going to be dealing with this. And it sucks. I feel like I have gotten to a point where I am almost fully recovered from my eating disorder. And then I have days where I still have anxiety over certain foods that I ate. I'm just a lot more stronger now, and I can push past my anxieties around it, and I can overcome it. Whereas before, it wasn't like that. So that is where my eating disorder began. And it's actually crazy because right around the same time that it started, I was at the height of my Instagram and my TikTok career. Girl, you posted selfies and silly little videos for a living. Hey, I was making good money though. I can't even lie, like I was. I photoshopped the ever-living goddamn fucking shit out of my body in my Instagram photos because I was dropping weight pretty fast, and I didn't want anybody to notice it because, again, like I said, like this was the hype. Like I was growing at such a rapid rate, and I didn't want people to talk about it. I wanted to experience my dream basically coming to life in front of my eyes without any type of negativity behind it. And the reason why I even brought that up about me photoshopping my body is because I had briefly touched on it in a TikTok one time, and somebody accused me of lying. That comment just kind of irritated me because, again, like I said, my eating disorder wasn't about me wanting to lose weight. I did not want to lose weight. So I'm not going to be showing off my malnourished body online. Hello? That's not the type of bitch I am. I would never do that. That is so disgusting, in my opinion, whenever I do see people doing that. It just annoyed me that somebody felt like that they were entitled to see me in the depths of my sickness. Otherwise, they didn't believe that I was sick. Anyways. Yeah, that comment just pissed me off, and it still kind of irks me till this day. And that's just a whole nother topic within, with eating disorders and stuff. If you don't look like you're actively dying, then you're not sick enough, or you don't have an eating disorder. What? Like, huh? That's one thing I fucking hate, is people talking about shit that they actually have no fucking idea about. That's why I never speak on shit if I don't know the full details and full information about it, because then I'm not going to make myself look like a fucking fool out here in front of everybody. No. If I do speak on something, it's because I know what the fuck I'm talking about. And these motherfuckers on here need to do the same, because y'all make yourselves look dumb as fuck. Anyways, getting back to the story. So it was a little bit of a head fuck at the time because I was doing so bad mentally on one side and receiving such amazing opportunities on the other. And it sucks because I didn't fully get to experience all the things that social media, all the good things that social media can bring you, because I was just dealing with so much stuff internally. So I'm not sure if any of you guys were around for this or if any of you remember, but there was a small house fire in the house that me and my boyfriend and his family lived in. So we all had to get out of there pretty quickly and find temporary places to live. And because of this, me and my boyfriend, we called, I think it was the Red Cross, for some financial aid, and they were able to give it to us. And the person that we were living with found out that we had gotten some money and got angry with us for getting the money. Because my boyfriend refused to give him the full amount, we got kicked out. That has been since resolved. I don't want anybody to say anything harmful or anything. We can acknowledge that, yes, at the time it was a very fucked up and shitty thing to do, but he's not the same person he was back then. So because we had gotten kicked out on such short notice, we had to find a place to live. We had stayed at my grandmother's house. My granny's house. I never call her grandmother. We stayed at my granny's house for a little bit, and we held on to the money that Red Cross had given us. And I had decided to make a TikTok asking for financial help. And I set up a GoFundMe, and a lot of people donated to it. And I'm forever grateful for everyone who donated to it, because we were able to move into a small little duplex, I think a week later. Me and my boyfriend were staying in my granny's garage because I am one of 6. My mom also lived there, and my dad did at the time. So it was my grandmother, my papa, my dad, my mom, and all my siblings. So there was just no room for me and my boyfriend, so we had to stay in the garage. And mind you, it was winter whenever all of this was happening, so it was fucking freezing in there. Once we raised enough money, I think it was one of the very first places that we looked at. We had gotten accepted. Surprisingly, I don't know how, but it was a low income area, so I think they just kind of accepted anybody that had little to no credit. So we got accepted and we moved in the same day. And I was super excited because I had thought that this was going to be a fresh start. Like, me and my boyfriend, we got out of the toxicity and we're moving in together, like a place of our own, something that I have wanted since the day we got together, really. And I was super excited. But little did I know that, that song by the Smiths? I think it's the Smiths. It was like, hold on, I gotta turn on my echo. I would rather not go back to the old house. There's too many bad memories, too many memories there. I think I got it. I think I definitely did not get the tone down, but I think I got it. That lyric of that song definitely resonates to me a lot. We didn't really make very many good memories in there. Oh. My cat fucked up my lighting for a second, sorry. Because me and my boyfriend had absolutely no time to prepare to make such a big decision. We were struggling financially. I remember my boyfriend asking me if I could make another TikTok asking people for more money because we were just struggling that bad. And I remember just feeling kind of embarrassed, like I didn't want to. This was before I was like kind of vulnerable on social media. I had felt like I had this image that I needed to uphold for some reason. No one set that standard for me except for myself. And I just felt embarrassed if I made another TikTok asking for more help after just posting how we got the house and thanking everybody for the money. I also didn't want other people to feel like I was taking advantage of other people's kindness. So I didn't post a video. This was our first time ever dealing with such like big finances. We just really struggled a lot. And that didn't really help with my eating disorder either, because we had to ration our food for the most part. We just couldn't really afford to splurge on food like that. It just wasn't enough for me to try to start the recovery process. I did try, but it was very, very difficult. It was very hard. I kept trying and failing to recover at my eating disorder that eventually I just stopped completely trying at all and had gotten comfortable with where I was at, because it was much easier to stay sick than it was to get better. Because obviously, as most things are, it is easier to stay the same rather than put in the work to become a better person and a better version of yourself. Also, at the same time, I wasn't really getting better for myself. My boyfriend worried about me so much. He worried about me so much. The first few times that I did try to recover was really for him. I just wanted him to stop worrying about me. And I think that was where I fucked up the first time, because I wasn't trying to recover for myself, but for him. Eventually, like I said, it got to a point where I just got comfortable with being where I was, and it started turning me into someone that I don't recognize. Someone that I am very, very disappointed in. I was just on full self-destruct mode. I had just completely disregarded everyone else's feelings and was just thinking selfishly about myself. My family was worried about me. My boyfriend was worried about me. And, anytime that my mom or my granny would make comments about my weight, or my dad, or even my boyfriend, it just went all through me, because it's like, yeah, I know. I fucking know. Why are you telling me these things? I know that I look too skinny. I know that I need to eat more. I know that I look sick. Okay, why are you telling me this? Because they're worried about you, you dumb bitch. But in the moment, I wasn't taking it in like that. It was more of an annoyance to me. It's like, okay, you're just stating the obvious at this point. You're just in one ear, out the other. Like, I don't know why you're even saying these things. Me and my boyfriend had gotten into an argument at one point over it, and I had basically told him something along the lines of, this is who I am now, and you either take it or you leave it, because I don't plan on changing. It caused a rift in our relationship, and him being such a good boyfriend, he wasn't having any of it, so he would still push me to get better. And it was also making me like drift away from him a little bit, because I just couldn't understand at the time why he just wasn't loving me for who I was. Girl. Really? I try not to look at her with such mean eyes. In the grand scheme of things, she was just a scared young adult. She had gone through so much, and she was just fucking tired. I started acting very selfishly. I started resenting my boyfriend for some weird reason. I can't even really give you a reason why, other than the fact that him just pushing me to get better was really getting on my nerves. He was so worried about me, and he just wanted me to get better. And I am just so upset with myself for not seeing it at the time. My eating disorder just turned me into someone that I didn't recognize, and someone that I didn't like. Yeah, it was hindering our relationship pretty badly. And there was one day that me and my boyfriend had gotten into a very, very heated argument. One of the worst arguments that we have ever had till this day. Like, it was a massive blowout, explosive. It was awful. He had a lot of pent-up anger towards me, and I also had a lot of pent-up anger towards him. And I think everything started kind of hitting us at once, everything that we had been through together, and we were just kind of taking it out on each other rather than leaning on each other. During these times, we were just taking it out on each other. I like to argue. That's not something to laugh about, bitch. You need to fix that. And I have been. And I have been getting better. But I'm not going to lie. I do like to argue. I'm a girl. I feel like I'm right all the time. Like, I am fucking right all the time. Why are you arguing with me? Why are you arguing with me, Pooks? You know that you're wrong, even if you are right. You know that you're wrong and I'm right. I'm just kidding. But for some reason, during this argument, I had sat there and I was just taking in everything that he was telling me. And I'm not gonna lie, he was going in. He was going the fuck in. I can't even remember all that he had said. But he was hitting me with some fucking facts, okay? I will say that. Like, I feel like I just hit the point of surrendering, and I was like, you know what? You're goddamn right. And you are. And he was. And that's why I was sitting there just listening to him. Because there was nothing else that I could come back. Like, I couldn't argue back with him because he had been nothing but supportive and loving to me during this time. And I was nothing but a fucking bitch. And I just sat there and I soaked everything up. And I had come to the realization that maybe I am causing my boyfriend so much distress. I am causing my family so much distress. They are all worrying about me. And I had come to the conclusion that they would be better off if I was gone. And I tried to commit suicide. It was scary. And the second that it happened, I immediately regretted it. I immediately called out for my mom. And I remember just wailing, you know, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. I don't know why I did this. I knew the second that it happened that I had took it too far and I was too scared to see the damage. And in that moment, I had the realization that I had a lot more power than I had thought. I used to self-harm growing up, and I remember not ever wanting to go too deep with it because I was scared. And in that moment, I had took it too far. And I realized just how much damage I could do to myself. It was just a very impulsive situation. It was very scary. Let's talk about my hospital visits. I go in, I am bawling my eyes out because obviously, like I said, I'm fucking terrified. The people think that I'm on drugs. Now, this is my first time ever going into the hospital for something like this. So I don't know if it's mandatory, but they were drug testing me. They did like EKGs on me. They wouldn't allow any of my family members in the room with me because they said that I was a danger to not only myself, but to them. Obviously, I had people go to the bathroom with me, and they put me in a room where the curtain was half shut, so people were watching me at all times. It was still very, very bad, but I guess it wasn't as bad as I thought it was initially because they had me laid up in that room for hours by myself before a doctor ever even came in. So they wrapped my arm with gauze and they have to change it. I dried onto the gauze, and instead of getting the gauze wet, the first nurse that comes in, the second nurse actually got the gauze wet to change it. But the first nurse comes in and rips the gauze off of this open wound. Just rips it off. Oh, that felt so great. That felt so good and definitely did not make me wail in pain. Meanwhile, the nurse is staring at me like I'm a fucking crazy person because she just ripped dry gauze off of a fresh wound. I spent that whole time in the room crying. Just bawling my eyes out. I think this was the moment where I was finally just releasing everything that I had pent up because thinking about it, I didn't really cry that much about the trauma that I went through living with my boyfriend's family, and then all the other stuff living in the duplex. I hadn't really cried. And then I go there and I'm just bawling, and I can't stop. And it's hard, consistent bawling my eyes out for like an hour. And again, like I said, they wouldn't let me see my family because they said that I could potentially put them in danger. So I really had that time to just kind of process everything. And in that moment, I remember having the realization that I have no one else to blame for everything that happened in the duplex. I had no one else to blame but myself. I got myself in this situation. I caused me and my boyfriend to drift apart. I put myself in the hospital. I'm the one that caused the argument. Like, I am the reason why my life is in fucking shambles right now. No one else to blame but myself. And in this moment, I wasn't necessarily feeling like, oh, woe is me. It was more so of just like, yeah, you did this and you need to fix it. The doctor comes in to staple my arm shut. Lovely. They numb me. Still felt every last staple, by the way, because the person that was numbing me was a trainee, actually. So, you know. Oh, man. I had never screamed in pain like that before. Ever. Like, ugh. And right before he puts the staples in, I'm telling the doctor, I'm like, look, I can still feel. Some parts are numb, but I can still fucking feel, bro. Like, hold on. I said, can you just give me a minute? Just literally a minute to prepare myself for what's about to happen. And you want to know what this motherfucker says to me? You want to know what the fuck he says? He said, well, if you can cut yourself, you can handle a couple staples. So this pissed my boyfriend off, and he starts talking shit to the doctor, and he has to leave. And my mom comes in, and they staple me up, and I am screaming, and I am crying, and it was the worst feeling I had ever gone through in my life. The attempt leading into the hospital was a very traumatic situation in itself. I remember whenever it was time to get the staples out, I had went to a different hospital to get them out, and I remember the doctor being so sweet to me, and he was a man, but he was being so sweet to me and gave me a little bit of advice, and I am so appreciative of him because he treated me like a person rather than a fucking crazy psychopath bitch like the way the other doctors were. So at this point, after they get done stapling me up, someone from a mental hospital comes in and is telling me and my parents that I'm going to have to be on mandatory suicide watch and that they are going to take me. I am so grateful for my parents because they advocated for me so hard in that situation. I couldn't do it for myself. They were my voice, and they didn't allow it. As long as I stayed with my parents, then I wouldn't have to stay in the hospital. So that's what I did. Looking back on it, healing from the attempted suicide, it's been well over a year now, and I still have numbness in my arm. I still kind of get like weird tingly pins and needles feelings in my arm. I don't know if that will ever go away. Healing from the attempt and recovering from my eating disorder and learning to manage my anxiety wasn't easy, but I did it, and I'm here, and I'm really surprised I didn't get emotional sooner, to be honest. I am so grateful to be alive. I think that situation it changed me fundamentally as a person. I look at life through such a different lens now. I see the beauty in everything, and everything to me is a reason to keep going, to keep living, to keep getting better, and to push even through your hardest of days. The world is so beautiful and really has so much to offer. And I am so glad that I made it out on the other side, because a lot of people don't get to and see that life does get better. As cliche as that fucking sounds, it really does get better. And I am living such a beautiful life now that I'm genuinely so proud of. I want to take on the world. I want to experience everything that comes with it. Loss, happiness, the tears, the anger, everything. I want to feel everything. And I know that I am ready for whatever is next, because I am so much stronger than I was before. I love my life. I love where I'm at. I love my boyfriend. I love my family. I love my cats. I love this house. I love my room. I love you guys. And I am so glad that I am here to be able to share my story. In the beginning, whenever I initially started healing from everything, I was still going through it. But again, like I said, that situation changed me, and I saw life through such a different lens than I had ever seen it before. And I knew that I wanted to get better, not just for my boyfriend or my mom or anybody else, but I wanted to get better for myself, because I was fucking tired of living that way. I was tired of victimizing myself and constantly feeling like the world was out to get me. I was so tired of it. I was tired of allowing my anxiety to control me, and it got to a point where I couldn't even progress as a person because of it, and I was tired of it. I wanted to make new friends. I wanted to experience new things. I wanted to step out of the box, and I felt like for the longest time I couldn't do that, but I could, and I can, and I have, and I manage it so well now. I am such a better person now, and I am so fucking proud of myself for getting to this point, because it was really fucking hard. And there were days where I wanted to give up and just go back to how things were. It's easier to do that. It's easier to stay in a place even though it no longer serves you, even though it's doing you damage and it's hurting you. It's easier to stay there. It's harder to walk away, and it's harder to get better, to hold yourself accountable. It's hard. It's a lot of work, but I did it, and I'm here. I'm actually so much happier with how this video went. I don't really know how to end this, to be honest, other than that life is beautiful and life is worth living. I hope that I can be proof for anybody out there that it does get better. How you're feeling right now doesn't define who you are as a person. You are so much more and deserving of so much more than what you are going through and what you are giving yourself at the moment. I love you guys. I really, really do. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye.